We are thrilled to announce the exciting partnership between Sunset Speedway and Stickers and Scuffs. As our local hometown track, Sunset Speedway holds a special place in our hearts, offering thrilling weekly racing events that cater to a wide range of enthusiasts. From bone stocks to mini stocks, modifieds to hot rods, pro lates to the junior late models, our track is home to a diverse and talented group of racers who continue to captivate us at every turn. Located in Innisfil, Ontario, Sunset Speedway boasts an incredible atmosphere that truly embodies the spirit of racing. Looking ahead, 2024 promises to be a remarkable year with a major lineup of events that will surely leave spectators on the edge of their seat. Don't miss out on the Hanley Classic, the Power Wheel Drags, Oscar Hot Rods versus Sunset Hot Rods, Velocity, the Tamio Memorial, the Bill Zarda Memorial, and countless other thrilling races. For their complete schedule and ticket information, be sure to visit sunsetspeedway.ca today. Get ready for a season packed with speed, adrenaline, and unforgettable moments.
This episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast has been brought to you by Remax Jack. Jack provides a friendly, customer-driven service in search for homes and provides excellent details on the market, values, and trends in buying and selling. Jack has been able to work with Cam on his search and always makes himself available when he has a question. Remax Jack will help you if you're looking to buy or sell a home within the GTA. He's who Cam K trusts to find his next home, and he should be yours too. Remember, call Remax Jack and start to pack. For more information, go to remaxjack.ca.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into Stickers and Scuffs. Blaise Shaw is joining us this week, and a guest co-host. He's the current points leader in the Mini Stock division out at Sunset Speedway, Jacob Sutcliffe, and of course, the guy who did defeat Blaise in the battle for the Domino's Pizza Performance of the Year. Unfortunately, Blaise, that's got a sting that this guy is on the show with you, eh?
Honestly, the first thing after that feature win, I went down and I said to Jake, I was like, this is kind of bull ass. I had to win.
You're allowed
on the
to swear
night
on
of
this
the Hanley.
podcast.
Exactly. I told him this is bullshit. I had to win on the night of the Hanley. Jordan's got to win it. He just won the biggest race of the year, period, in Canada. So I said, you got lucky on this one. I should have tied you up there.
My smile was ear to ear when he said that. I knew he wasn't getting the pizza regardless. So I promised to share it with him, but as you know, Cam, I don't share pizza too well. So
no, we know how to do with business. I've got some they're just hanging out behind me. So we're wrapping. No offense to Domino's. Hey, if I got it free, I'd be up getting Domino's too. But
I'll say I worked there through high school, so I ate a lot of it back in the day. It's pretty good stuff.
But for the two of you guys, being in that division, the fact that you guys were able to have that much influence on the performance of the night has got to be good. It means it shows that you guys are putting in a heck of a performance, Blaise. How did you end up going into the mini stock division? Because it's not obviously the starter division. It's a little bit higher up than bone stock, and it's obviously not junior late. So how did you find your way to that 81?
Honestly, it's kind of a two-part story. You could probably say three-part. I mean, our family has never done go-karting or anything like that. So both Sam and Dale, when they got into it, they jumped straight into mini stocks. They were both about 13, 14. And kind of the two-part story to that is growing up, I was big into baseball. I played at a high level. And when it got to the age where I could get into a race car, I was spending every weekend at a baseball tournament, whether it was here in Canada or in the States. I didn't have the time to be a race car driver. So the second part of the story is basically once I got to the end of my career, my arm was pretty much falling apart at that point. about 3 years ago now, is when Sam started to get into the late model stuff. And so it kind of just worked out perfect because I never wanted to go to dad and her and say, hey, I'd like to start racing, because I didn't want to take the car away from Sam at all. And that was always her thing. Like, I had baseball, I had hockey, racing was her thing. And I didn't want to take away from that. So her getting into the late model the same time I was kind of done with baseball, it just kind of matched up perfectly that I could show dad that I was interested in racing. I wanted to be a part of it. And we kind of tested that for about a year. I wasn't really in the car, but I was out. I was helping with the late models, either with Sam or Eric and Junior and Dale with the Shaw Motorsports program. And then he finally said, all right, I'll give you a shot. And it's kind of just went from there.
It's interesting because I never would have thought that you were never in racing until literally a couple of years ago, which is surprising because that's not normally what you hear.
I was in it and I wasn't. Like, when I was at the racetrack when I was,
But you weren't a racer per se.
Like, from when I was born, I mean, that was when Jake was still doing the all-star thing. Our whole family was traveling around with him. So like, I grew up at the racetrack by all means necessary. Just it got to the point where in sports, where you start getting serious with stuff, you start traveling more. And like I said, for most of the years when most people get into racing, I honestly, like, racing season and baseball season line up perfectly. And how everybody's at the racetrack every weekend, I was at a tournament every single weekend, and playing regular season games throughout the week. So it was kind of just, I said, well, I'm good at baseball, so I'm going to stick with it. And so I was out of it for a couple of years, but I still grew up at the racetrack, especially at Flamborough. Like, I was there when Sam and Dale got into it, and when Jake won all of his championships at Flamborough and all that stuff. So I both did and didn't grow up at the racetrack.
So it's kind of like you're getting into it now. How do you like it?
I mean, I loved it. Like I said before, I always loved it, and it was just a matter of I was too busy to do it, and I didn't want to make Sam have to share a seat with me or anything like that. Like, it was her thing, and I did not want to take away from that whatsoever. And I was having a blast playing baseball, so it just kind of worked out that way.
So how the first couple of years behind the wheel go for you?
So, kind of like I said, we started out, I was working just with the late models, just proving to my dad that I wasn't just like, hey, I'd like to drive the car. Like, my dad, he works in a way that you've got to show up at the shop and show up at the racetrack and prove that you want to be there and you're interested in racing, in how the car works. He would never let me or my sister drive if we weren't in the shop putting the work in, which is like, I'm so happy that he's that kind of dad. Like, I would not want to have a dad that just says, we're just going to buy everything and do whatever you want. Like, it's awesome. And I love that he made us put the work in for it. But yeah, I couldn't ask for anything more. I mean, every weekend's like a family reunion. I mean, my dad's family, my mom's family, we're all in racing. So the weekend I won, actually, a bunch of my mom's family's up from the States with Cole and his parents. So like, I couldn't have picked a better weekend to win there. Like, almost every piece of family I had was there for that night. So it was really cool.
I let you in that night. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jake lets you in, right? Well,
I don't know about that. He had two restarts to take his shot. He failed mightily on both of
them. No, you were better than me that night for sure.
Well, you were in a position to win earlier this year. I want to say it was it the opener where that Jake Spencer Wall ended up winning, and Jake and Coleridge had their coming together, and I don't know if I ever found out what happened to the car.
So we've had two good shots to win this year from my seat. For sure the opener. Unfortunately, we had a plug wire fall off, and don't really know why, but we had another set of plug wires sitting in the shop. So me and Dad just said, we're not having that happen again. So we switched them out, and so far, none of them have fallen off. And then actually the Opportunity Knox Invitational, 35 lapper. I think I led 31 or 32 of those laps and had a late race caution. And we had Doug Butler behind us. And I was super pumped up. I was like, I got this in the bag. We have finally taken down Doug. Like, I was so excited. And then unfortunately a late race caution came out and Doug had the better short run car. Like, my car was awesome on the long run. I was managing the gap to him before that caution came out. And I mean, I messed up on the restart there too. You know, and that just goes to the experience Doug has over me. And not even that, like, I made rookie mistakes on the restart. And like I said, I kind of figured Doug was going to get around us with a short run there, and it was still good. I mean, second place, you can't complain too much losing to a guy like Doug. I mean, he's done it for so long and he's so good. So it was still a good night, but
makes it look like
it was
so
tough
easy.
for the second win to slip through our fingers for the year, for sure.
Well, you did get the Lincoln. You got a round of the Lincoln, and first chance to get that big win. We did talk yesterday though. That was, I guess, considered a segment, so it wasn't an official listed, I guess, as an official one, right?
Yeah, it was kind of one where, like, Sunset, like Brendan and Spencer, they classified it as a win. Like, I couldn't run the first timers race at Velocity last year. They said, no, like, that's a feature win. It was just a matter of, because it was segments, they didn't have a trophy for each segment. So when I finally got the win on the regular night, I finally have, you know, hard physical proof. So, you know, if somebody says, I don't know if you won, I can say, no, I've got a trophy to prove it. Because I had to take the sticker off at the end of the year last year. So that was all that was.
And when did you guys start racing? When did you start racing Jake, right? When you started?
Right away, yeah. I mean, that year was the same year him and Wyatt bought that car from Alan. And their uncle knows my dad and my whole family very well. And because my dad had been doing it with Sam for so long, he had asked him for some help. And it kind of just went from there. I got introduced to those guys once I started driving it. And, you know, I mean, him and Wyatt, as much as I hate to say it, they are really good guys. So is Tim, their dad. Like, we have a ton of fun with them. And, you know, I couldn't ask to race against better guys. Like, me and Jake race each other really hard, but really respectfully. The contact between us has been super minimal over the 2 so years we've been racing against each other. So that's basically how it started. We just, you know, they needed the help and we had it, and we see that they put in the work. And like I said, like, my dad is, if you put in the work, we'll help anybody in the world. So
that sounds
that's kind of how we got together.
It sounds very similar, Jake, right, to you guys?
Yeah, I think my favorite moment with the Shaws was one of my very first heat. We blew the motor up in July, the very first year I started, and we went back at Velocity, and Blaise started behind me in a heat race. And I knew that he was good. I knew, like, the Shaws were good and everything. And when we realized how far behind we were was when Blaise pushed me all the way down the back stretch at Sunset. I came off the track and I said, Dad, I said, I think we need to go down to those Shaw guys. They got this thing figured out, and we clearly don't. So they've been an absolutely monumental piece of our race program. And again, like Blaise said, I couldn't ask for a better guy to race. And, you know, we've barely touched, but when we touch, we usually laugh about it over a beer after. So
how does that happen though? Because
that what he's talking about doesn't count. I was just helping him get down the back straight.
How does that happen though? Because we see other guys that, I mean, we saw it yesterday that there's guys that have been in divisions long enough and they touch, and then it's like they got to go fight each other. How is it that you guys are able to not do that?
I mean, like I said, like, everything, if we're touching each other, it's just because it's racing. Like, we're both racing as hard as we can. Like, I don't want to beat anybody on the track as bad as I want to beat Jake every week. So, like, we know, like, we're not trying. I don't think I've ever tried to move anybody on the racetrack yet. I haven't gotten the balls to try it in the middle of the corner to try and bump a guy, because honestly, I'm scared of spinning a guy out and ruining his night. And I don't want to do that. And so, like, me and Jake have never had anything like that. Like, it's just something small where, you know, I'm underneath them and I just get him a bit of a push and we just touch doors a little bit. So it's nothing major that we could be mad of. And so at the end of the day, it's racing, right? Everybody's trying to get to the front. I try not to take it to heart too much and get too mad about things.
So Blaise, then I ask you this: why do others not have that same
I,
feeling?
I mean, honestly, yeah, you see it like all divisions. I mean, there's some guys that you talk to them outside of the racetrack, whether it's in the pits or wherever, and they can be the nicest guy in the world. And some guys just once they put the helmet on, their mindset changes. Like everybody wants to win, and some guys are just willing to do more than others to get that done. And it is what it is. Like I said, it's a competition. That is racing. So uh, the fighting and stuff, I mean, some people just take to it differently than others. Like I will say, like I got upset once last year, and for me, upset was like I went to the guy and I just said, I was like, hey, that was kind of bullshit. And honestly, I watched the video later and I was in the wrong. So I'm glad I wasn't one of those guys that goes down there and starts swinging or something. I just said like, hey, that was bullshit, and walked away because I'm not going to try. I don't want to get thrown out of a racetrack. I don't want to do that kind of stuff. I try to stay as calm as I can because at the end of the day, it's racing. I mean, stuff happens, and it's not NASCAR. So you just do what you can do.
It was nice to hear you say that. It's not NASCAR, thank God. The one thing that is really nice, and why we have also Jake here, is that we've obviously become a huge fan of the mini stock division out at Sunset. You guys put on some damn good racing, and for the I think the first time ever, had a green to checkered yesterday. I believe no cautions. I might be wrong about that, but I
Oh,
think we
you're right.
yeah, caution free.
Yeah, caution free.
Unbelievable. Um, but you got a lot of veterans in this division. And I almost wonder if people expect to see guys like Jason D'Antimo, uh, Eric Rainey, Cameron McGlashan, people that have been doing this for a while that stick around in the mini stock division and make it very, very competitive each week. We talk about Doug Butler. He goes out there and he just finds his way to the lead no matter what. And but the fact is, he is the guy most weeks. Have you guys been able to take it to Doug Butler at all?
So like I said, I mean that invitational earlier this year, I had the better long run car. That caution didn't come out. I think I finally would have had him, but week in week out with the track changes, the car changes. There's some nights I think we got a shot for him. There's some nights he's definitely better. But me like I was out of the shop all day today with Dad. Thinking and doing our regular maintenance stuff and just thinking like what do we want to try. We're by no means, we want to be the standalone fastest car on the racetrack, and not even have to worry about Doug. Have him by 2/10, and that's just one thing. Again, with my family, like it was the same thing with Jake. It's the same thing with my dad. What with Sam, how Dale is. It doesn't matter how good the car is. We want to change. We want to make a change because we can be faster. We just got to figure out how to make it faster. And so like perfect example is after last week, we got the win, and I think we were the fastest car last week. But we went back to the shop and we said we're gonna make we changed some things because I said I think it can be a little bit better. Like it was really good, but it can be better, and it always can be.
The two of you guys have also raced elsewhere. We've seen you both at Flamborough, and I believe, Blaise, you might have the one up on Jake at Flamborough.
He does.
Um,
He's undefeated against me at Flamborough, which drives me bonkers.
And Sobble. Don't forget about Sobble.
And Sobble too. Crap.
but so are we going to see Blaise Shaw at the Colors so that we can see you guys race at Peterborough?
That's the one thing I'm unsure of. I I stay on the fence about colors. I mean, it's something that I would like to do, but that's also a super super long weekend. I know Jake mentioned it this weekend actually. How it's you're there for a long time to not do a ton of racing. So and as well, I mean, me and Dad, Jason, Dale, we love watching super late models on dirt, and that time of year is also when they start wrapping up their stuff down. So we've been talking about maybe going to Eldora and stuff like that. So it also depends if we're in the country, but it's something I'm keeping on my radar. We'll see if we've got, money for tires for it. But I would love to beat Jacob Sutcliffe at another racetrack. So we may have to
I
get
at
there.
least have to have him covered on 2, so he can be 2 for 2. We'll see how that goes.
That's the other reason I might not want to. I don't want to give him a chance to tie it up. I want to make sure I'm on top overall.
Is there any ambition to potentially go and try a Delaware? I know that they don't do mini stocks out there, but like a bone stock race out of Delaware or full throttle, go up and do a mini stock invitational up there. I know it's a very, very different track than what you guys race at, but I mean the Shaws know how to race, so I definitely got to ask.
I mean, it's something I know. I know, like Doug and a couple other people are trying to get a mini stock invitational for Delaware, and I mean, it's something where I've had a lot of fun traveling and figuring out new racetracks. I'm not against that by any means, but the bigger racetracks and the 4-cylinder stuff, to me, it starts to get boring. Like honestly, even at Flamborough, like after you race at a Sunset or a Sauble, like you feel like you could have a cup of tea going down the straightaway at Flamborough. Like it's just so much longer than Sunset or Sauble. And for a race like Delaware, I was like, man, like I feel like I'd fall asleep. And I know Sam said, because she did the invitational they had at Jukasa many years ago, and she was like it felt like you were just out there for a cruise. Like it's just so big of a racetrack for 4 cylinders, and not being on 10-inch slicks or anything like that. Like, but I would definitely give it a try. I mean, as long as we weren't busy with something else. The only thing that deters us is the gearing. I'd have to try and run third gear, and something I'm not super keen on would be a second to third shift on restarts. So we'd have to see how it goes. But again, I love traveling. It's a lot of fun to figure out new things and new racetracks. So I would most likely give it a shot if they set up something for Delaware.
You got a division that has a lot of great racers in it. Who's somebody that you think people have to watch out for?
I mean, watch out for the 27 car at Sunset. He's a handful, but
I feel like I'm sucking up to you, eh?
He's trying to get past me next weekend for APC.
I mean,
it's not working.
The Ryder White, I mean, he's a young kid. He's picked it up pretty well. He's getting faster every week. I would have liked to see Jake Walt maybe last a little bit longer. But we'll see how he does in legend cars. Man, I mean, there's not a ton of young guys right now. So I guess I'll say my pick is Ryder for guys in the mini stock class. He's the youngest, and he's starting to figure it out pretty good.
We'll throw out just the mini stocks, but maybe in general out at Sunset, because there's young racers and junior lates and bone stocks as well. So and hell, there's young racers and super stocks and pro lates. But the one thing that's been really good is to see the amount of young talent coming into racing, and you guys are both proof that you don't have to get started at 8, 9, 10 years old. You can kind of get there and get started. The next, I believe, the big race for you guys will be the Alan Lincoln Memorial. Let's talk about the process for that, the procedure. 3 segments, I believe it is. And then how do I remember? How does this go? It's 3 segments, and you don't all make the main race or something, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't heard anything on how they are doing it this year, if they're doing it the same, if they're changing anything up. But last year, basically what we did was we got 2 practices, but the second practice was also our qualifying, and they took 20 or whatever it was from qualifying, made it into the main event, and then ran 2 B mains actually last year because we had so many cars. And then, yeah, they did 3 segments, 2 25s and a 23, invert after each feature. So it put on a really good show. There was definitely traffic all over the racetrack for all 3 races. And I mean, I'm looking forward to it. A big thing because I mean, myself and I know Jake too, we're getting faster, but we still don't have a ton of experience. And the biggest thing where experience comes into play, in my opinion, is getting through traffic. And if you watch a guy like Doug or Sean Taylor, the guys that have done it for a long time and are really good, like they cut through traffic like a knife through hot butter. And it's something I think I'm getting better at. I know Jake's getting better at. So hopefully we got a better shot at the overall points this year for that.
What do you guys need in the mini stock division? Do you need more competitors? Do you need more laps? Things pretty good the way things are going right now. Is there anything that you'd like to see in the future?
I mean, more competitors is always fun for sure. Like Sunset, we're not doing too bad. I know we started out a little heavier in the way of car counts than we have gotten to now, but even right now we're getting 15 to 16, which is a pretty decent field for any division in Ontario, not just besides bone stocks. I think bone stocks are getting like 30 cars at every racetrack. They're doing really good. But yeah, I mean, more competitors, it always makes it more fun, more entertaining. It's just more, it's not necessarily, you know, if it's guys that are starting or coming back, they're not necessarily racing for the lead. But I mean, if you watch like the Flying Frank this weekend, you know, Sean and Carson were, you know, they were checked out, they were gone, but there were so many little races throughout the field. Like it was an awesome race as long as you aren't just tuned in to who's leading and who's going to win. There was some awesome racing going on, and that's why it's always just the more cars the better, because you're going to have more racing going on throughout the track. It puts more traffic in front of the leaders and allows, you know, if a guy starts out front for, you know, if Jake starts out front, just gives me a better chance to catch him when he's struggling to get around the lap cars.
I got to hear what Jake's response on that.
I quite enjoy actually the competition level and everything that we're at right now. I love the way our class is, but I agree that more cars and more talent is always fun. But same thing goes, right? Like when he gets into lap traffic, I find, you know, it's hard to time for us, I think, especially being younger and maybe less experienced than others. It's hard to learn how to time, how to pass a lap car, to get the bottom and get him on the straightaway and everything. So it makes it more fun when you're trying to catch the guy when he maybe struggles or bobbles a little bit on lap traffic, and gives you a chance to get to his bumper. And I mean, in me and Blaise's case, I don't know if he'd ever move me, but I can certainly tell you that I try and move him. So
all the love coming back to you, eh, Blaise?
Oh yeah, I don't expect any loss.
But that's the best. Honestly, I say that's the best part of being a part of the racing community is getting to know kind of the friendships and the stories, but seeing how much of it is a racing community. You guys park next to each other out at Sunset this past weekend, and you know, Sam came. We have to talk about Sam because she went up to Buddy. No, she didn't. She just got pissed off because you went off and got a feature win before she did this year. But I saw you were the first one to the car to congratulate your sister, and you know, and I don't know if people are aware how long Sam's been working at trying to get that first feature win, and how frustrating of a season for Shaw Motorsports. You know, after what happened at Delaware with your cousin, and you know that in itself must have been devastating because Dale was in, I believe, he was in the points battle at Sunset, and but to come back from that, you get a win, and then the following week, your sister gets her first Pro Late win. How does that feel?
Man, it was. I think I was more nervous watching her race and get her win than I was driving to it last weekend. It was. I think I was more excited when she won than when I won too. Because yeah, I know she's been wanting it. She's been close a couple times now. So it was. I was the first one in victory lane. I just about sprinted to the finish line there. I beat on a roof and I was screaming at her, "I'm so proud of you!" And made sure to get my hug before I had to go strap into my car because we were right after her. So yeah, like, it was awesome. I mean, you know, we ended up breaking, unfortunately. Alternator mount broke for us, so my race got cut short. But like, you can't even be mad about it after having a day like that where she finally gets it done. And it was just, yeah, like it's
It's
awesome.
it's actually what's really great about this is that the two of you guys being on this show is great because you're both very similar in that you both have siblings that also race with you at the same time. I mean, Wyatt obviously wasn't racing this past weekend, but he has raced with you quite a bit, Jake, and he's had those runs as well where we still bust his balls over leading and spinning from the lead, sorry, Wyatt, but
It's
I
true. It's true.
it's true, right? But
Yeah.
I would expect that again. It's a totally different experience, racing with a sibling at the same track at the same time, and you because you don't get that experience when they're not racing or they're racing somewhere else, right? You're there at the same time. And for you guys, Jake, you guys, I don't think you were even in the shoot yet when the pro late finished.
No,
Uh,
so we were in the shoot, and
oh, you were.
I was trying to do a dance for her in the car when Sam won. I was going nuts and clapping my hands, and I was really happy to see her win. And I think with the relationship that me and Blaise and Randy and all them have formed, I really consider them more like family than friends, right? I think that's kind of why we can bust each other's chops and have some fun with each other because we all know in the end that there's a family meaning to it. And so I was really happy to see Sam win, and just a success for them. And again, like APC opener when Junior won, and the Shaws went 1, 2, 3. I mean, you couldn't be happier for a greater group of people, and they work their absolute tails off, and that's why it's so hard to beat that friggin' 81 car with him in it every week because they work so hard that you have to try and work harder, and it's almost impossible with them. So.
Well, and it's the same. I think it's the same side. Like when Blaise, you talked about it earlier that, your dad put it into you that you have to work on this car. Sam said the same thing. I mean, when we had her on and we talked with her, she said like, you need to know how to work on your car. You need to know how to fix stuff, and especially when there's damages, and the same thing. I mean, for Jake and Wyatt, you guys do the work on your cars, I think your dad wasn't even there this weekend. Like you were there kind of by yourself until you had a couple of people there with you, but you have to know how to do it, right? And it, I would definitely think there are people out there that have no clue. I have absolutely no clue about anything to do with cars. I love watching them go around in circles, but I have no clue about anything mechanical on them. So when people literally go out and they talk about like Ryder White goes and he starts spitting all these facts about his car. I'm going, what are you talking about? Right. But it's so important, right? And it's great to see that the mini stock division is thriving. You guys were the mini stock division, especially at Sunset, was the most receptive to our podcast that Graydon and I had no idea why. But that's why it became my favorite division was because of guys like yourselves and just the people that are in that division that are down to earth. Madison and Morgan, Jason, Dan Timo, McGlashan. Now Andreas is part of that. I'm hoping that we'll see a couple more. I think I saw Cash Ireton come out a couple weeks ago, and yes, he was in a Dodge Neon. Hell yes. But why do people need to go mini stock racing? Oh, get out
Or
of here!
Mustangs.
Get out of here! Why do people need to go mini stock racing, Blaise?
I think it's a number of reasons. Like you said, I've never raced Peterborough, so I can't speak for Peterborough guys. But I mean, there's a bunch of really good guys at Flamborough. Like Mike Thompson's a really nice guy. Caitlin Wallace, really nice girl.
DQ, love it.
And at Sunset, like
yeah,
so many nice people. Like Jake, Cameron. I've had tons of really good conversations, really good racing with Cameron. Honestly, my favorite guy, and I think the nicest guy in the field, is John Bird. If you ever get a chance to talk to him, go and see him. Like, I don't know what it is about the guy. I just love him. He's so nice. He's always so happy to be at the racetrack, and that's huge. And I think the other thing is, like you said, it's no longer a starting division, but in my eyes, it still is. Bone stocks are awesome for what they are, and they get you kind of. I classify it as the same as a junior late model. It gets you into a race car and gets you comfortable being in the race car and on the racetrack. But because every other division ahead of you is rear wheel drive, mini stocks is kind of the first thing that you can get into that's rear wheel drive and gets you used to what rear wheel drive cars will do. Like if you ever ask Dale about it, he got into a bone stock one time, and because he never raced a front wheel drive, he was like, I had no clue what to do, and I stunk. So like it's different racing stuff. So I think it's the perfect division for people that want to maybe go super stock racing or pro late model racing or modifieds, whatever it may be, because it's a lower power, so you don't have to have as much throttle control or brake control as, you know, jumping straight into a super stock or a late model or something like that. So I think that's why it's such a good division to start out in, because you can, and you don't have to. If you want to do the front wheel drive stuff, bone stocks are great, and front wheel drive is also really competitive mini stocks with the Hondas and the Neons, and I can't think of anything else right now. There's the two that come to mind, but you can do that in mini stocks too.
One of the things that I want to know from you right now, Blaise Shaw, is what's the future for Blaise Shaw in racing? Are you planning on sticking around in the mini stocks? Are we looking at potentially doing something like you said, like a pro late modified? I mean, pro late's the next step, I would think, in the Shaw Motorsports landscape. But I mean, you do have hot rods out there. And the hot rod class has exploded out at Sunset Speedway. We went from I think there was like 6 last year to now there's almost 20 each week. So modifieds, maybe you'll head over and be in the junior late models. I mean, something a little more your size, but
Yeah, we'll have to extend the roll cage on the roof a little bit, because I'll be poking my head out a little bit, I think.
throw out to the shout.
The funny thing is, I told Jake that last weekend. He said he's looking into what class he wants to move up next. I said I think you should move into junior late model. So funny to say that.
I'll throw out to a shout out to Colton Everingham's picture. You know what he reminded me?
Yes, I saw that.
If you guys go back in my day, there used to be the Hanna-Barbera TV show, The Flintstones, and the dinosaur Dino would stick its head out of the top of the car. That's what it reminded me of.
That's pretty good right there.
Yeah, right? I need to do a side by side. I might do that after the show, actually, is put a side by side. So that's what it looks like. But you know what, Blaise, you've got a lot of potential places to go. So where are you thinking? If anything.
I mean, I haven't thought about it too much to this point.
Mhm.
This is my 3rd year in racing, but like the first year, I think we ran maybe 4 races at the end of the year. And then both last year, this year, like I don't run full time. Now that being said, Jake runs full time, and they've had so many rainouts at Sunset. He doesn't have that many more nights on me this year, but I still, like, at the end of this year, I wouldn't even say I have 2 full years in the driver's seat of a race car. So it's, you know, you got to, and I am getting comfortable, but the big thing is, I mean, I think a lot of people get themselves into the jumping divisions too quickly, and I don't want to do that to myself or to Dad or Dale or whatever kind of car I'd be driving to, and just, you know, go there and struggle every single weekend. You want to be competitive. But I mean, for sure, I'm a Shaw, so yes, kind of the next step would be a late model for sure. I've talked about maybe practicing one at the end of the year this year, just to, you know, see how I fare at this point in my career. But I most likely going to be back in a mini stock next year, because I don't know that I want to put up the money to run full time in late models or anything. I mean, and for everything else, I'm always down. I mean, if somebody wants to put me in a car to try and drive, I'd be down to try just about anything. Asphalt or dirt. I'd love to try dirt, honestly, at this point. We watch so much of it at Shaw Motorsports. We're watching Lucas Oil, the super late models. Any night it's on at the shop, that'd be something that looks wicked, then I don't think I could do, but I'd give it a shot.
Glenn
I'd love to
Stires,
see
we're
him
talking to
do
you.
Super Late.
Glenn Stires.
I think a super late model is the only dirt car Glenn doesn't have, so I can't even talk to him again.
Now that you've said it, he might go and buy one.
He might. I'd love it if he did, man. I know once upon a time he had the sprint cars for World Outlaws, as well as late models up there. I'd love if they get them back, man. I mean, probably about a month ago, we drove down to Lernerville, Pennsylvania for just a Thursday night of the Firecracker to watch Lucas Oil late models, because it's that good of a show. Like it's incredible what those guys do. So if he could bring it up here to Ontario, it'd make our drive a lot shorter to go watch that stuff.
Well, you know what? We've got a lot of people that have been able to try out some dirt racing. We've seen it over the last couple of years, and I know like Wade Thorne's been sticking people in his dirt mini stocks, and hey, you guys are both mini stock racers, so I'm just saying, I know Jake, we didn't talk about you going on dirt, but hell, let's Friday night, you guys both go to Washweek Speedway.
You can barely run on asphalt. I don't know if you've tried dirt yet.
I won't lie. I think Blaise has more of the talent for dirt racing. He's a little better at getting loose than I am. So yeah, I think he's definitely the one to go for it. I'd try it, but only if Blaise was out there, so I had someone to try and beat.
I don't know. That sounds like a great offer. We'll make a big deal of it and see what happens. Blaise, you've got a lot of great supporters on the 81 Mustang. This is your opportunity to thank them and to thank anybody that helps get you to the racetrack each and every week.
Got to thank Spire Fire Protection, biggest one. Couldn't do what we do without Ken and Carol and David and Kim and everybody there. I've also got Golden Triangle DKI on the hood this year. They've been a big help, big support, as well as Adaptive Mechanical, Arctic Glacier, Blue Triton, High Grade Roofing, Broker Link, and All Team Sports. Can't thank sponsors enough. I mean, we do what we can to get their names out there. I mean, I think in racing, everybody's pretty good about, if we need, a tire and somebody's got a tire sponsor, you go out and you buy that guy's sponsor's tires. So we do everything we can, and I can't thank everyone that supports me enough. In the way of physical support, I mean, it's mostly just the family. My dad is the biggest thing. Would not be possible without him at all. But I get tons of help from Dale, Samantha, Uncle Jake, my old lady, beautiful, beautiful girlfriend, Marisa. Got to make sure I thank her. Don't want to get in trouble there. Katrina, Peyton. Again, there's so many. Everyone in my family, thank you, because you probably helped on it at some point.
Well, we absolutely love that we got to have this episode with two SNS racers, two of our friends in the mini stock division. It's been a great privilege to see you guys both race and now both win. Unfortunately, I've only been able to see Jake win of the two of you guys, but I was there to see at least a Shaw win, which is
you might be bad luck for me. I broke both nights you've shown up this week.
honestly, and it was the same time. It was the same way. You just kind of pulled off into turn one. I was like, oh no, it happened again.
Well, both times I kind of knew it was not a take a pit stop and get a quick fix kind of thing. So, I mean, I'm just going to get off the racetrack and let the guys that are out there finish the race.
And it's just it's so cool that we've gotten to build this over the last couple of years, and you guys just getting into racing, we're just getting into the podcast scene, and it all worked together really well, and we look forward to another season of it. And we want to thank Jake Sutcliffe for coming in and pinch hitting as a great.
I don't want to thank him. I don't.
You don't have to. We'll do it.
Thank you very much for having me on, Cam. This was a lot of fun. And when you sent me the message and I knew I was going to get to that with Blaise, I ran upstairs and told Dad and Wyatt, and they were dying laughing. So awesome opportunity. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Glad we could have some entertainment for the family. And the best part about this, the two of you guys, is the chirping is just
it's constant.
It's honestly, it's even better.
Don't worry, it's not just for the camera by any means.
I know
for the camera.
I know it's not just for the camera. It happens in real life. So You know what? It's great, and definitely will enjoy some Domino's pizza over this. And hopefully at the end of the season we'll be celebrating a championship and be able to do that up at the racetrack. That would be an excellent thing to see. And thank you both for being a part of our SNS Racing family. It's an honor, and it's an honor for you guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you all next time on Stickers and Scuffs.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate what you and Graydon do. You guys, I mean, just more getting the word out about racing in Ontario, and that's awesome. So thank you for having me on. I wish Jake wasn't here. That kind of sucks, but I was happy to talk.
I don't even know how to end the show. Nice.
Yeah.